What do hot sauce, glaciers, and ghost towns have in common? Apparently, this valley. Welcome to Burrows Park, a place where the ground's still moving, the towns can't agree on their own names, and Colorado's most beautiful basins hides a connection to Tabasco. Stick around, it's about to get spicy. Last time, we left behind the ghost town of Sherman, the one the mountain literally washed away, and kept climbing higher in the San Juans. Now the road opens into Burrows Park. Burrows Park isn't really a town. It's more like a group chat that got out of hand. Back in the 1880s, every cluster of miners had its own name: Beryllium, White Cross, Horseshoe, Argentinium, Sterling, and maybe even Ravencroft, if you wanted something more dramatic. They all packed into this high valley, arguing over which one counted as the real Burrows Park.
So we are generally in the Burrows Park area on Cinnamon Pass, and there's a lot of confusion. There's about 3 or 4 towns here. They moved based on the mines. This, and our map says it, and the sign says it over there, that this is the town site of Argentum, and that cabin right there is what's left of the town site. They did get a grant from the Colorado Historical Society to do some archaeological digs here, but it really didn't show much to find anything because people had taken wood from the old structures and burned it. People had camped on top of it, driven on top of the old town site. And so, and bottle hunters evidently, which I didn't know that was a thing, but they would come bottle hunting through the sites and take the bottles. And so with all of that, they didn't really find much based on that archaeological study. So this is Argentum, and then there's several other town sites that we'll continue to stop at and see what we see. This is either Tellurium or White Cross, and we're still in the Burrows Park area. And you can see there's some old cabins. There's some new cabins, and it looks like some new mining up here. I don't see any no trespassing signs, but I am not going to hike up there because there's clearly no footpaths, so I don't think that we're welcome. There looks to be a White Cross up here, which could be this is the town of White Cross. If it is, they had a post office, they had a hotel, they had at least a dozen cabins. There was no regular stage service to this area, but there was a post office. So, and as the mines came and went, that's how where they lived and where the towns were in this Burrows Park area is what they say. Another notable thing that Grace pointed out to me is across the valley you can see another landslide that happened quite a time ago, but that's probably sulfuric acid that was under and it slid down the mountain.
As we entered into the valley that includes Argentum, Tellurium, Burrows Park, White Cross, whatever town site you decide you're in at that moment in time, we entered into the Eureka Grabens section of the San Juans. The Eureka Grabens connect the Uncompahgre caldera to the San Juan caldera, because if you have 2 major rock collapses in one area very close to each other around the same time, and you have a small section of rock in between, weird stuff's going to happen. A graben is basically where a block of rock just drops down, and that happens here. They don't look like our traditional grabens that you necessarily see in like Canyonlands, are a perfect example of a graben. But they are grabens nonetheless. When you get weird faulting, you also get good mining stuff. And that's why we're here. Yep.
Leaving behind the ghost towns and landslides, A reward is waiting. American Basin. The kind of view that makes every bump in the road worth it.
Holy cow. Look at this campsite. This is amazing. We are in the American Basin, and it is amazing. We'll get Grace to do a geology lesson about the American Basin. It's glacial.
Yeah.
I don't know why is it so important?
Because it's pretty and people can get here. That's why it's famous.
Okay. Anyway, unbelievable campsite. Look at this. Look at this. Unbelievable.
American Basin sits high above the tree line, carved by glaciers thousands of years ago, and is still shaped by every storm that rolls through. At 12,000 feet, the clouds drift close and the world slows down. A few hikers wandered by, a few cars drove by, but for most of the evening it felt like we had the entire basin to ourselves. A campsite so quiet you could almost hear the mountains breathe. American Basin fades in the rear view, but its calm sticks with you. Ahead lies the Tabasco Mine, proof that even up here, stories can get a little spicy.
Okay, so this behind me is the Tabasco Mill. The Tabasco Mine is on the other side of Cinnamon Pass, and there was an aerial tramway. It was over 2 miles long to bring the ore over here to be milled. And it's named Tabasco because the Tabasco company actually owned the mill and the mine back in the 1800s.
After cannibals, ghost towns, and Tabasco, you'd think we'd seen it all, but the best view is still waiting at the top. On to Cinnamon Pass.
We made it. Alrighty. So we are here at Cinnamon Pass, and which is one of the highest passes in the San Juans. And the reason it is called Cinnamon Pass is one of the early explorers out here named it cinnamon because of the color of the grass is kind of a cinnamon color that is up here. And I didn't, I read that, but I didn't know. And then when you get here, you can really see that it is a cinnamon color. So that's why. Yeah.
Up here, all roads lead to Animas Forks. And this weekend, it felt like every four-wheel drive in Colorado showed up. Join us next time for ghost towns, good company, and a few classic trucks that might just steal the show.
So, as we entered into the valley that includes Tellurium, So as we entered into the valley that includes Tellurium,